The US President Donald Trump has agreed to pause tariffs on Mexican imports for 1 month. The decision comes following a telephone call with the Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. She has agreed to deploy 10,000 Mexican troops to the border with the United States to fight drug trafficking. The announcement to pause the tariffs comes just hours before they were meant to kick in. For more on this story, we can go across to correspondent Ewan Grillo standing by in Mexico City. Ewan, this may just be a pause, but it's a big win, isn't it, for Mexico's president?
I would give it, maybe she would sell this as a win to the people, but I think there's a certain qualification of that. I mean, in some ways, you can see that President Donald Trump is getting what he wants, and this is how he's going to sell it to his people. He's going to say, well, look, I've got Mexico, I've forced Mexico to finally take action on drug trafficking and on migration and to secure our border. And he's doing this through this use of threats. I mean, he was very convincing. I mean, beforehand, he was talking about the tariff coming in, and a lot of us thought, well, it's only a bluff. He's using it to create pressure. Then this weekend, it seemed like he was really going to do it. And at the last minute, the last second, you have this pause coming in. So it's kind of like these, almost like a game of chicken, a car driving right at you that swerves at the last moment. However, I think Claudia Sheinbaum has been very composed during this crisis, and it is a crisis for Mexico. She's been quite composed in her answers, quite solid in her responses, looking very good, very presidential, and pretty much the right balance between trying to hold firm and defend Mexico, but also, being cooperative with the United States. So I think both sides end up looking good, although, is there some unnecessary crisis being conjured up by Donald Trump about this whole thing?
You touched on this point that Donald Trump wants Mexico to do more to clamp down on drugs coming across the border. Fentanyl, he's been saying. So Donald Trump is getting 10,000 Mexican troops at the U.S.'s southern border. What is Mexico getting in return?
Well, Mexico, I think, is getting, as far as we know, at least it's not getting tariffs. So it's still allowed to sell, and Mexico sells about close to $500 billion worth of goods to the United States market, and it's still doing those tariff-free. And I think that's the way Trump sees it. We don't know yet if there's any other details of something else coming in that the United States will give Mexico. But I think one interesting thing is that the fentanyl, I mean, I think, let's see if in the next months or so, the amount of fentanyl coming from Mexico really does dive to very low levels. Migration is actually already being cut massively. It's already down hugely since the big days of 6 months ago. And Trump will claim this as wins. But then let's also see then how the United States deals with fentanyl. If fentanyl comes in by a different route, if it's made in the United States, and how this actually affects the overdoses and the addictions in U.S. territory.